What if I told you that the biggest changes in your life won't come from one big breakthrough, but from the small, quiet things you choose to do every single day? Success is never the result of a single action, a single moment, or a single breakthrough. It is the accumulation of countless small steps, repeated over and over, until they become a force so powerful that it shapes your future. Daily discipline is the foundation upon which all lasting achievements are built. Talent, intelligence, and even opportunity can open doors, but without the discipline to act on them consistently, they amount to little more than potential left unrealized. It is the steady, unshakable commitment to doing the work every day that transforms potential into tangible results. Think of the greatest accomplishments in history, in art, in science, in business. None of them happened overnight. They were the result of people who decided that no matter how they felt, no matter the weather, no matter the distractions, they would show up and give their effort. Daily discipline is the silent, invisible engine of progress. You may not notice its power in the beginning because at first the results are almost invisible. The first week of effort shows no dramatic change. The first month may still feel like you are standing still. But while others quit because they cannot yet see the reward, the disciplined individual keeps going, knowing that each small effort is laying a brick in the structure of their success. Discipline means doing the thing you said you would do, long after the excitement has worn off. It means following the plan you made for yourself, even when the mood is gone. There will be days when you feel inspired, when the work feels effortless, and progress is obvious. Those days are not difficult. The real test comes when you are tired, when you are discouraged, when the voice in your mind whispers that skipping today won't make much difference. The truth is, skipping today makes all the difference, because today becomes tomorrow, and tomorrow becomes next week, and soon the habit you were building begins to crumble. Daily discipline is what stops that collapse. It is the refusal to allow temporary feelings to dictate your permanent direction. Consider how nature operates. The river does not carve valleys by force, but by persistence. It flows every single day, and over time, even stone yields to its touch. The sun rises each morning without fail, and because it does, the world thrives. There is no drama in these acts, no grand announcement, no need for applause. Yet they create life, they shape landscapes, they sustain existence. This is how daily discipline works in your life. It may seem small in the moment, but its quiet repetition shapes everything. Those who rely only on bursts of effort find themselves in a cycle of starting and stopping, forever chasing progress, but never sustaining it. They run on enthusiasm until it fades, then stop until they feel inspired again. But the disciplined person understands that progress is not about intensity alone, it is about consistency. It is better to move forward with small but regular steps than to sprint once and collapse. Daily discipline allows you to build momentum, and momentum is the most powerful ally in your journey. Once it starts working in your favor, it makes the hard days easier, the impossible days possible, and the distant goals closer than you imagined. It is easy to admire discipline in others while failing to practice it ourselves. We watch athletes train and marvel at their skill, forgetting that skill is not the gift, it is the result. We see successful entrepreneurs managing thriving companies and imagine they have some secret advantage, when in truth their advantage was showing up day after day, long before they saw any sign of success. Daily discipline is not glamorous. It does not ask for recognition. It works in the background while others are sleeping, distracted, or giving up. And then, one day, it reveals its power in ways that seem sudden to the outside world, but were years in the making. When you commit to daily discipline, you make a silent promise to yourself that you will keep moving forward, regardless of external circumstances. You no longer depend on motivation because you understand that motivation is unreliable, it comes and goes. Discipline, however, is a choice, and it can be made fresh every day. You decide to act because it aligns with your vision, because it brings you closer to your goal, because it honors the person you are becoming. You act even when no one is watching, even when the results are not immediate, even when you feel like quitting. Daily discipline teaches patience, and patience allows you to see beyond the present moment. You begin to trust that the work you are doing today is planting seeds you cannot yet see, and that time will reveal their growth. You stop looking for shortcuts because you realize that every shortcut is just a longer way back to where you started. You stop comparing your progress to others because you know that your only real competition is the person you were yesterday. You stop fearing failure because you understand that failure is just a moment in time, not the end of the journey. Discipline frees you from the trap of waiting for the right time, or the perfect conditions. You act now with what you have where you are, because you know that time is always moving forward, and every day without action is a day you cannot reclaim. You learn to respect the power of the present moment, because it is the only place where change actually happens. The past is gone, the future is a vision, but today is the ground on which you build. Consistency is the bridge between the desire for a better life and the reality of living it. Dreams are easy to imagine, but they remain as shadows in the mind until they are pursued through repeated, deliberate action. Each time you take a step toward your vision, you breathe life into it. Each day you act, no matter how small the effort, you move it from the realm of possibility into the realm of certainty. It is not a single great effort that transforms dreams into reality. It is the accumulation of hundreds, even thousands, of seemingly ordinary actions that build into something extraordinary over time. When a dream first forms in your heart, it is fragile. It can be crushed by doubt, ignored by neglect, or lost in the noise of everyday life. But when you nurture it with consistent action, it grows stronger. Just as a young plant must be watered regularly to survive, your dream must be fed daily with effort, learning, and persistence. A missed day here and there may seem harmless, but inconsistency allows weeds of procrastination and fear to take root. Consistency, on the other hand, clears the path, keeps your vision in focus, and builds the strength needed to withstand challenges. The transformation of dreams into reality is not dramatic in the moment. It is subtle, almost invisible at first. The changes are so small, so incremental, that you may not even notice them happening. But over time, those small actions compound, creating results that seem impossible to those who never stayed the course. The writer who writes a single page each day ends the year with a book. The person who saves a small amount of money each month eventually has enough to invest. The athlete who trains daily becomes stronger, faster, and more skilled with each passing season. None of these transformations happen through sudden leaps. They are the result of quiet, consistent effort. Consistency also builds trust not only with others, but with yourself. Every time you follow through on your commitments, you reinforce the belief that you can rely on your own word. This inner trust is essential because without it, self-doubt will sabotage your progress. When you consistently act toward your goals, you silence that inner voice that questions whether you have what it takes. You replace hesitation with certainty and uncertainty with momentum. One of the most powerful effects of consistency is that it eliminates the need for constant decision-making. When you have made a clear commitment and act on it every day, you no longer waste energy debating whether or not to move forward. You simply do it. This reduces resistance and turns forward motion into a habit. Instead of relying on bursts of motivation, which are fleeting, you rely on rhythm and structure, which are sustainable. There will be moments when progress feels slow, when the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels overwhelming. These moments are the true test. Many give up here, thinking their actions are too small to matter. But this is where consistency works in silence, building the foundation for the breakthroughs to come. The rewards of consistency are often delayed, but they are also far greater and more lasting than the quick wins that come from short-lived effort. Consistency transforms not only your results but your identity. As you act in alignment with your vision every day, you begin to see yourself differently. You no longer identify as someone who merely wishes or hopes. You see yourself as someone who builds, creates, and follows through. This shift in identity is powerful, because once you truly believe you are the type of person who stays the course, quitting becomes unthinkable. The smallest actions repeated over time carry a power far greater than they appear to hold in the moment. Alone, a single step forward might seem insignificant, barely moving you toward your destination. But when that same step is taken again and again, it begins to compound, building momentum and shaping results that once seemed unreachable. The principle is simple. What you do regularly becomes who you are and determines what you achieve. Every choice, no matter how small, adds weight to the direction of your life. Each repeated effort strengthens the path beneath your feet, making it easier to continue and harder to turn back. Compounding is one of the most overlooked forces in personal growth. Most people understand it in the realm of money, how small, consistent deposits can grow into wealth over time. But the same principle applies to every area of life. A person who exercises for just 20 minutes a day may not notice much change in the first week or even the first month. But after a year, their health, strength, and energy will be transformed. A student who reads a few pages each day may not feel much smarter in the moment, but in time, their mind will be richer with knowledge and insight. The results are not instant because the process is designed to be gradual. Yet it is precisely this gradual nature that makes it so powerful. The compounding effect works like the steady drip of water wearing away stone. At first, there seems to be no impact. The stone looks unchanged, but the water never stops, and over time it leaves a mark that cannot be erased. Each small action you take is a drop of water, and the obstacles you face are the stone. Consistency turns those drops into a steady force that shapes your reality. It is not about overwhelming effort on a single day. It is about the steady rhythm of doing what matters most again and again until it becomes part of you. There is a hidden advantage to small, consistent actions. They are easier to sustain. Many fail because they take on too much too quickly, burning out before they can see results. But when you start small and keep going, the habit becomes ingrained before you even realize it. A daily action, no matter how small, has the power to outlast a burst of intensity that fades after a few days or weeks. The key is not to focus on doing the most you can in one moment, but to ensure that what you are doing can be repeated tomorrow, next week, and next year. The beauty of compounding is that it works silently in the background. Even when you feel as if nothing is changing, something is happening beneath the surface. Every repetition is like adding another brick to a wall. At first, the wall is barely noticeable, but one day you look up and see a structure standing tall where there was once only empty space. Others may call it sudden success, but you will know it was built one small action at a time. What makes compounding so effective is the way it magnifies effort over time. The more often you repeat an action, the more skilled you become at it. Each repetition not only moves you forward, but makes the next repetition easier and more effective. A person who writes every day not only produces more words, but becomes a better writer. A person who practices their craft consistently not only accumulates hours of work, but sharpens their ability to the point where the same amount of effort produces greater results. This is the multiplying effect of persistence. Small actions also have a way of building confidence. Each time you follow through on your commitment, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted to act in alignment with your goals. This quiet self-trust becomes a source of strength, making it easier to keep going when challenges arise. In this way, compounding works not only on your results, but also on your character, shaping you into someone who does not quit when progress feels slow. The opposite is equally true. Small negative actions, when repeated, can also compound, leading you further from your goals. Missing a single workout, delaying a project for just one day, or allowing a small bad habit to persist may seem harmless in isolation, but over time, these choices build their own momentum, creating results you never intended. This is why awareness and intentionality matter so much. Every action you take is a vote for the person you are becoming, and those votes add up. The greatest challenge in harnessing the power of compounding is patience. Human nature craves immediate results, and when they don't appear quickly, the temptation to stop is strong. But compounding rewards those who can delay gratification, who can keep acting long before the harvest is ready. It demands trust in the process, faith that the effort you put in today will eventually produce a return far greater than you can see now. Most people underestimate what they can achieve in a year of consistent effort, and overestimate what they can achieve in a day of intense action. Those who embrace the compounding effect understand that every day is an investment. They approach their goals not as something to be reached in a single leap, but as something to be built layer by layer. They know that each small step is not just a movement forward, but a brick in the foundation of a future that will stand strong against time and challenge. There will come a time when the excitement that fueled your first steps begins to fade. The thrill of starting something new will give way to the routine of repetition, and the enthusiasm that once made the work feel light will no longer be there to carry you. This is where many turn back, not because the goal is out of reach, but because they mistake the absence of motivation for the absence of possibility. It is here, in this space between inspiration and achievement, that discipline becomes your greatest ally. Motivation is a spark. It is bright, energizing, and powerful in the moment, but like any spark, it fades quickly if not sustained by something stronger. Discipline is the fuel that keeps the fire burning when the spark is gone. It does not depend on mood or circumstance. It is the decision to act not because you feel like it, but because you have committed to it. When motivation fades, discipline steps in and carries you forward. There will be mornings when you wake up, and the last thing you want to do is move toward your goal. You will feel tired, distracted, or simply uninterested. The temptation to delay just for today will whisper in your ear, telling you that one missed day will not make a difference. But every time you choose action over inaction, you strengthen the habit that keeps you moving. Every time you push through when you do not feel like it, you remind yourself that your dreams are more important than your feelings in the moment. Discipline thrives on clarity. When you have a clear vision of where you want to go, it is easier to choose the action that aligns with that vision, even when you are not in the mood. Without clarity, it is easy to drift, to let short-term comfort outweigh long-term growth. This is why those who endure and achieve are not necessarily the most inspired, but the most committed. They know that their feelings can change from day to day, but their commitment must remain constant. The power of discipline is that it makes action automatic. Instead of debating each day whether or not to do the work, you have already decided in advance. You act because it is part of who you are, not because you are searching for a reason to start. This removes the friction that keeps so many stuck in cycles of hesitation. Once action becomes non-negotiable, progress becomes inevitable. The days you least feel like working are often the days that matter most. They are the days that separate those who merely talk about their goals from those who achieve them. Anyone can act when they feel inspired. It is acting without inspiration that builds resilience. When you push yourself through resistance, you grow stronger, not just in skill, but in will. You teach yourself that you can overcome not only external obstacles, but also the internal ones that whisper excuses. Discipline is not about denying yourself joy or living without rest. It is about knowing when to rest with purpose and when to work with focus. It is about recognizing that the moments when you feel uninspired are not signs to quit, but opportunities to prove your commitment. Every step taken in these moments becomes a victory, a deposit into the account of your future success. When you operate on discipline rather than emotion, you remove the unpredictability from your progress. You no longer rely on waiting for the right mood or the right energy. You work regardless, and because of that, your results grow steadily. The road may still be long, and challenges will still arise, but discipline ensures you keep moving. It transforms the process from something you do, when convenient, into something you do, because it is part of your identity. No matter how clear your vision, how strong your plan, or how much progress you have already made, there will be times when the road becomes steep and the air grows thin. Obstacles will rise up, often without warning, and they will test not only your skill, but your resolve. Doubts will creep into your mind, whispering that perhaps you are not capable, that perhaps the effort is too great, that maybe it would be easier to settle for less. It is in these moments that persistence becomes the deciding factor between those who finish and those who fade away. Obstacles are not a sign that you are on the wrong path. They are proof that you are moving forward. Any meaningful pursuit will challenge you because growth requires you to step beyond the boundaries of what is comfortable. The challenges you face are not there to stop you. They are there to shape you into the person who can handle the success you are aiming for. Every obstacle carries within it the opportunity to grow stronger, to learn, and to refine your approach. But you will only uncover that opportunity if you refuse to give up. Persistence is the ability to keep moving forward even when the reward is not yet visible. It is the decision to rise after each fall, to stand again after each setback, to continue pressing forward when every part of you feels like stopping. While others may turn back at the first sign of difficulty, persistence demands that you push through, not because it is easy, but because you have decided that quitting is not an option. This mental commitment creates a resilience that is stronger than any single challenge you will face. Doubt is often the greatest obstacle of all. It is an internal barrier that can feel heavier than any external one. When doubt settles in, it distorts your perception of reality, making challenges seem larger and your abilities seem smaller. It can make you forget the progress you have already made and convince you that the future holds only failure. But doubt is not truth. It is a test. It asks you to prove how much your vision matters to you. The way to pass that test is not to wait until the doubt fades, but to act in spite of it. Every time you take action while carrying doubt, you weaken its grip over you. Persistence is fueled by perspective. When you understand that setbacks are temporary and that progress is rarely a straight line, you are less likely to be shaken when things go wrong. You begin to see challenges as part of the journey rather than as signs of defeat. This shift in perspective is powerful because it changes your relationship with struggle. Instead of avoiding it, you face it with the understanding that each trial is making you stronger, more resourceful, and more prepared for the future you are building. Another truth about persistence is that it thrives on adaptability. Being persistent does not mean doing the exact same thing in the exact same way forever. It means staying committed to the goal while being willing to adjust your approach when needed. Sometimes the obstacle in front of you cannot be broken down by sheer force. It must be navigated with strategy, patience, and creativity. Persistence is not blind stubbornness. It is intelligent, flexible determination. It is the willingness to try again, but also the wisdom to try differently if the situation calls for it. When the road becomes hard, your mind will often magnify the discomfort, making it feel heavier than it truly is. This is why persistence is as much a battle of the mind as it is of the body or circumstances. If you can train yourself to focus on the next step rather than the entire distance left to travel, you make the journey more bearable. A mountain may look impossible from its base, but taken one step at a time, it becomes conquerable. Persistence breaks the overwhelming into the manageable, allowing you to continue even when the summit feels far away. The moments when you are tempted to give up are often the moments when you are closer to a breakthrough than you realize. Many stop just before the turning point, not because they lack the ability, but because they lose faith in the timing. The process of achievement is rarely predictable, and progress often happens in sudden leaps after long periods of effort that seem to produce little visible result. Persistence is the bridge that carries you through those quiet stretches, keeping you in the game long enough to reach the moment when all your unseen efforts begin to bear fruit. Obstacles and doubts will visit you more than once on your journey. They will test you repeatedly, sometimes in small ways, sometimes in ways that shake you to your core. But every time you persist, you strengthen a part of yourself that no obstacle can touch. You build a deep inner confidence that says, "I have been tested before, and I am still here." This is the kind of strength that compounds over time, making each future challenge easier to face, not because the challenge is smaller, but because you are stronger. Persistence turns the impossible into the inevitable. It transforms the question from "Can I do this?" to "How will I do this?" It shifts the focus from fear to problem solving, from hesitation to action. And in the end, it is persistence, not talent, not luck, not perfect conditions, that determines who reaches the finish line and who does not. Greatness is not a single act. It is not a sudden event that bursts into existence without warning. It is the product of countless small actions, taken day after day, long before the world notices. It is built in the quiet hours when no one is watching, in the moments when you could choose comfort, but instead choose to push forward. The truth is that nothing extraordinary is created in an instant. What appears to be sudden success is only the visible tip of an iceberg that has been forming for years beneath the surface. Daily action is the raw material of greatness. Each day you show up, you are adding another layer to the foundation of your future. The effort you put in today might feel ordinary, but in time it becomes part of something far beyond the ordinary. Just as a sculptor chips away at a block of stone, refining it with thousands of deliberate strikes, so too is a life of greatness shaped by repeated acts of discipline, focus, and persistence. Each strike may look small, but together they reveal a masterpiece. It is easy to admire the finished result of someone else's journey while overlooking the years of quiet work that came before it. We see the athlete holding a trophy, but not the countless hours spent training in empty gyms. We see the business leader closing a major deal, but not the long nights studying, planning, and enduring failures. We see the artist unveiling a breathtaking work, but not the endless revisions and discarded drafts. The common thread among all of them is the willingness to put in the work every single day, whether or not anyone is watching, whether or not immediate results are visible. Greatness requires patience because its construction is invisible for much of the journey. You may work for weeks, months, or even years without seeing the kind of progress you hope for. This is when most people walk away, believing the effort is wasted, but those who understand the nature of greatness know that progress is not always visible in the moment. Much like seeds growing underground, transformation is happening in ways you cannot yet see. Your job is not to control the timeline, but to continue showing up and doing the work. The daily building of greatness also demands consistency in the face of monotony. There is a romantic notion that every day in pursuit of your dreams will feel exciting and fulfilling, but the truth is that many days will feel repetitive. The tasks that bring success are often simple, even mundane, but they must be done with care and precision over and over again. This is where discipline outweighs inspiration. Anyone can give their all on a day when the work feels thrilling, but it is what you do on the quiet, ordinary days that determines how far you will go. Another essential element in building greatness is the commitment to learning and adapting. Daily action is not about mindlessly repeating the same mistakes. It is about growing from each experience, refining your skills, and improving your methods. Every challenge you face, every obstacle you encounter, is a chance to gather insight and strengthen your ability. Over time, this accumulated wisdom becomes one of your greatest assets, allowing you to face future challenges with greater skill and confidence. Greatness is also a product of resilience. Even when you are consistent, even when you give your best every day, there will be setbacks. Plans will fall apart, opportunities will vanish, and unexpected problems will arise. These moments will test your commitment to the process. They will ask you whether you truly believe in what you are building. Those who continue in the face of such trials are the ones who, in time, emerge with something extraordinary to show for their efforts. One of the most remarkable things about building greatness daily is how the small actions begin to compound. At first, the effort feels heavy because you are starting from the ground up, but as your habits solidify and your skills improve, the same effort produces greater results. You develop momentum, and with momentum, progress begins to accelerate. What once felt like a slow climb becomes a steady, powerful push forward. In the process of showing up each day, you also begin to transform internally. You are not only building a career, a body, a skill, or a business. You are building yourself. The discipline you practice, the patience you develop, and the resilience you strengthen become part of your character. Even if the external results were stripped away, you would still carry with you the inner strength, forged through years of deliberate effort. The world often celebrates the moment of achievement, but pays little attention to the long road that led there. Yet, for the one who walks that road, the journey is where the real value lies. It is where you learn who you are, what you are capable of, and how deeply you are willing to commit to what matters most to you. It is in the daily building that you become not just someone who achieves greatness, but someone who embodies it. Consistency matters more than perfection, because perfection is an illusion, while consistency is a choice you can make every single day. The pursuit of perfection often traps people in a cycle of hesitation, waiting for the right time, the perfect plan, or the flawless conditions before they begin. But those conditions never truly arrive. The person who waits for everything to be ideal ends up standing still, while the one who takes imperfect action daily moves steadily forward. Progress, no matter how small, will always outpace the pursuit of perfection that never begins. Perfection is deceptive because it sets a standard that can never truly be reached. No matter how well you perform, you can always find something to improve, something you could have done better. This constant striving for a flawless outcome often leads to frustration and paralysis. Consistency, on the other hand, embraces the reality that mistakes are part of growth. It allows you to move forward, learn from each experience, and gradually improve over time. By choosing to act consistently, you give yourself permission to grow without the burden of being flawless from the start. The power of consistency lies in its ability to create momentum. When you commit to showing up regularly, your efforts compound. Each step builds on the last, and the steady rhythm of action keeps you moving even through periods of doubt or difficulty. Perfection disrupts this rhythm because it focuses on isolated moments of high performance rather than on the ongoing process. You do not need to be perfect to see results. You need to be present, committed, and willing to keep going. Consistency also builds resilience. When you work consistently, You learn how to adapt to challenges and adjust your approach without abandoning your goals. Perfection leaves little room for adaptation because it demands that everything go according to plan. The moment something goes wrong, perfectionists often abandon their efforts entirely, feeling that they have failed. But those who value consistency understand that setbacks are part of the process, not the end of it. They view each challenge as a temporary obstacle, something to navigate rather than a reason to stop. Another advantage of consistency over perfection is that it creates a habit of action. When your focus is on being consistent, the act of showing up becomes automatic. You no longer waste energy debating whether or not to take the next step. You simply do it because it is part of your routine. This habit of action is far more powerful than sporadic bursts of perfect performance. It ensures that even on your worst days, you are still moving forward, and over time, those small steps add up to significant progress. Consistency also fosters confidence. Each time you keep your commitment to act, you reinforce your belief in yourself. You prove to yourself that you can be trusted to follow through, and this self-trust becomes a powerful motivator. Perfection, in contrast, often erodes confidence because it sets an unreachable standard. Each time you fall short of that impossible ideal, you risk feeling like you are not enough, even when you are making real progress. By choosing consistency over perfection, you focus on what you can control. You cannot control every outcome, but you can control your effort, your attitude, and your willingness to keep going. This shift in focus frees you from the anxiety of trying to get everything exactly right, and allows you to direct your energy toward what truly matters, making progress toward your vision. Over time, this steady, persistent effort produces results that perfection could never achieve, because real growth comes not from doing everything flawlessly, but from doing the right thing consistently. When you choose to let your actions today align with your vision for tomorrow, you create a direct path between where you are and where you want to be. Too often, people hold a vision in their mind, but live in a way that contradicts it. They dream of health but neglect their body, dream of success but avoid the work, dream of freedom but remain bound by habits that steal their time and energy. A vision without aligned action is nothing more than a wish, but when each decision you make supports the future you want, you turn that vision into a living plan. Every action you take is a message to yourself about the person you are becoming. When you act in alignment with your vision, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of achieving it. You begin to see yourself not just as someone who wants something, but as someone who is actively building it. This shift in identity is powerful because it changes how you approach every challenge. Instead of asking, "Can I do this?" you begin asking, "What is the next step to make this happen?" Alignment requires clarity. You must be able to see the destination in your mind with enough detail that you can measure your actions against it. If your goal is vague, your decisions will be scattered. But if your vision is clear, specific, measurable, and deeply meaningful, you can weigh each choice against the question, "Does this move me closer or further away?" With this mindset, you begin to filter out distractions and focus on what truly matters. Aligning your actions with your vision also demands honesty. It is not enough to say you want something. You must be willing to look at your current habits and see whether they support that desire. This kind of self-reflection can be uncomfortable because it exposes the gap between intention and behavior. But facing that gap is the first step in closing it. The more consistently your daily actions match your long-term vision, the smaller that gap becomes until the two are indistinguishable. The power of alignment is that it creates momentum. Every time you take an action that supports your vision, you strengthen your commitment to it. Each aligned choice builds on the last, and over time, these choices form the structure of your future. Even small actions, when repeated with intention, begin to shape the circumstances around you. You find yourself attracting opportunities, resources, and relationships that support your path because you are actively moving in that direction. Living in alignment with your vision also brings a deep sense of purpose. When your actions and your goals are connected, even difficult days have meaning. The effort may still be hard, but it is no longer empty. You understand why you are doing what you are doing, and that understanding carries you through moments when motivation fades. Purpose turns routine into ritual, and the work becomes not just something you do, but something you are proud to stand behind. This kind of alignment requires constant awareness. Life will present countless chances to deviate from your path, to choose convenience over commitment. There will be temptations to compromise, to delay, or to settle for something less than what you envisioned. Staying aligned is not about avoiding these temptations entirely. It is about recognizing them for what they are and choosing the path that serves your future self rather than your current comfort. When your actions today align with your vision for tomorrow, you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You are no longer drifting, waiting for circumstances to improve. You are actively shaping the future with every choice you make. Over time, this alignment builds not only the results you want, but the person you must become to sustain them. And that person will not just reach the vision, they will be ready to go beyond it. Your discipline should be stronger than your doubts, because doubt is inevitable, but it does not have to be in control. Doubt will whisper reasons why you cannot succeed, why you should stop, why the challenge is too great. It will appear when you face setbacks, when progress is slower than expected, or when others question your vision. If you allow doubt to take the lead, it will paralyze you, keeping you trapped in hesitation and fear. But when your discipline is stronger, you move forward regardless of how you feel in the moment. Discipline acts as a guide when your confidence wavers, keeping you aligned with your purpose even when your emotions try to pull you away. Doubt is a natural response to uncertainty, and any meaningful goal will contain uncertainty. The greater your dream, the more unknowns you will face. Some people make the mistake of thinking they must eliminate doubt before they can take action. In reality, waiting for doubt to disappear only strengthens it. The act of moving forward in spite of doubt is what weakens its power. Discipline is the mechanism that allows you to take that action. It is the structured commitment to keep showing up, to keep working, and to keep making progress even when every part of you is tempted to stop. Discipline is built on decisions made in advance. You decide what you will do, when you will do it, and why it matters long before the moment arrives. That way, when doubt comes, you are not negotiating with it. The plan is already in place, and your job is to follow it. This removes the need to rely on fleeting motivation or fragile confidence. Motivation is great when it is present, but it is inconsistent. Doubt often arrives precisely when motivation is low, which is why discipline must be the stronger force. When you train yourself to act based on discipline rather than emotion, you gain a sense of control over your life that doubt cannot match. Discipline does not require that you feel ready. It only requires that you follow through on what you committed to. Over time, this steady follow-through creates a track record of action, and that track record builds trust in yourself. The more evidence you have that you can act despite doubt, the less doubt affects you in the future. You stop seeing it as a signal to stop and start seeing it as a normal part of the journey. It is important to recognize that doubt often disguises itself as logic. It will present reasons why slowing down, waiting, or quitting seems reasonable at the moment. This is why discipline must be tied to a clear vision and a compelling reason for your effort. When you are deeply connected to your purpose, you can spot the difference between genuine wisdom and the excuses that doubt creates. Discipline anchored in purpose becomes unshakable because it is not dependent on temporary feelings, it is grounded in something much larger. Building discipline stronger than your doubt also requires consistency in the small things. You cannot expect to face a major challenge with unshakable discipline if you regularly give in to small moments of doubt in everyday life. Each time you push through a small hesitation, making the call you want to avoid, doing the workout when you are tired, working on your goal instead of scrolling through distractions, you strengthen the muscle of discipline. These small victories prepare you for the bigger battles where doubt will try to derail you. Doubt thrives in inaction. The longer you hesitate, the more reasons doubt will find to justify its presence. Action is its greatest enemy. Even imperfect action begins to break the grip of doubt because it gives you real feedback instead of imagined scenarios. Discipline ensures that you keep taking that action day after day, regardless of whether the conditions feel ideal. By staying in motion, you give yourself the opportunity to learn, adjust, and grow. Something doubt will never allow if it convinces you to stop. There will be times when doubt feels overwhelming, when it is loud and persistent, and your energy is low. In those moments, discipline is not about pushing yourself to your absolute limit. It is about doing something, no matter how small, to maintain forward momentum. Even small actions taken with discipline protect you from slipping backward into paralysis. The key is to keep the chain of action unbroken, so doubt never gains enough space to take over completely. One of the most powerful effects of making your discipline stronger than your doubt is the confidence it builds over time. Confidence is not the absence of doubt, it is the belief that you can handle it. Every time you act despite doubt, you prove to yourself that it cannot stop you. This proof becomes a resource you can draw on in future challenges. When doubt rises again, and it always will, you can remind yourself of all the times you have felt this way before and still moved forward. Ultimately, the presence of doubt can even become a signal that you are on the right track. Doubt often appears when you are stepping into unfamiliar territory, which is exactly where growth happens. If your discipline is strong, you will not be deterred by this signal. Instead, you will use it as a reminder that you are pushing beyond your comfort zone towards something worthwhile. Discipline turns doubt from a stop sign into a marker on the path, something to notice but not obey. By repeatedly choosing discipline over doubt, you create a future where progress is not determined by your momentary emotions, but by your long-term vision. This is how lasting success is built, not by waiting for doubt to disappear, but by refusing to let it dictate your actions. The stronger your discipline becomes, the less power doubt has, until it is nothing more than background noise you acknowledge but do not follow. Life changes through what you do consistently, not occasionally, because real transformation is the product of repetition, persistence, and sustained effort over time. The actions you take repeatedly shape your habits, and your habits create the results you see in your life. One extraordinary effort may feel impressive in the moment, but it is the quiet, repeated actions done day after day that truly shape who you become and what you achieve. Consistency is the bridge between intention and accomplishment, between desire and reality. It takes the vision you have in your mind and slowly turns it into something tangible, something you can see and touch. Occasional bursts of effort are like sparks. They might burn bright for a moment, but they quickly fade if there is no steady fuel to keep the fire alive. Consistency is that steady fuel. It keeps you moving even when the initial excitement is gone, when progress feels slow, and when distractions are tempting you away from your path. It builds momentum, and once momentum is on your side, even small actions begin to produce greater results. The key is not to wait for motivation to appear before you act, but to act regularly until discipline and habit take over, making the work a natural part of your life. When you are consistent, You give your efforts the chance to compound. Just like small deposits into a savings account grow over time through the power of interest, small daily actions accumulate into significant results. Writing a single page each day may not seem like much, but over a year it becomes a full book. Saving a small amount of money each week may feel slow, but it eventually becomes a solid financial foundation. Practicing a skill for just a short period each day gradually transforms you into someone competent, then skilled, then exceptional. None of this happens by occasional effort alone. It happens through the repeated choice to keep showing up. Consistency also creates predictability in your progress. When you take action regularly, you remove the uncertainty of wondering if you will make progress. You know you will, because the work is getting done. Even if you move forward slowly, you are still moving, and that forward motion builds confidence. Occasional action, on the other hand, leads to start progress, where each break costs you time and energy as you try to regain lost momentum. In many cases, it is not the difficulty of the task that stops people, but the inconsistency that breaks their rhythm. Another reason life changes through consistent action is that it shapes your identity. Every time you act in alignment with your goals, you reinforce the belief that you are the kind of person who does those things. If you consistently go to the gym, you start to see yourself as someone who values health. If you consistently work on your business, you begin to think of yourself as an entrepreneur. If you consistently practice your craft, you adopt the mindset of a skilled creator. These identity shifts are powerful because once you see yourself in a certain way, you naturally act in alignment with that identity without forcing it. Consistency is also the antidote to perfectionism. When you act regularly, you learn to focus on progress rather than flawless results. You stop waiting for the perfect conditions or the perfect idea before you start. Instead, you commit to doing something today, knowing that improvement will come through repetition. This frees you from the trap of endlessly planning but never doing. Occasional effort often comes with the burden of trying to make every action perfect, which can lead to procrastination. Consistent effort removes that burden because you know there will be another opportunity tomorrow and the next day to improve. The most successful people in any field understand that excellence is built over years, not days. They show up for their goals whether they feel inspired or not. They follow routines and systems that make action a default part of their lives. Over time, their consistency compounds into expertise, opportunities, and results that seem extraordinary to others, but are simply the outcome of daily commitment. This is why someone who works steadily and persistently often surpasses someone who is more talented but inconsistent. Talent without consistent action is wasted potential. There will be times when consistency feels boring or monotonous. The early excitement may fade and the results may not yet be visible. This is where most people quit, thinking their efforts are not paying off. But the truth is that real change often happens below the surface for a long time before it becomes visible. Just like seeds planted in the soil take time to break through the surface, your consistent actions are building something inside you before the results can be seen. The person who continues through these unseen stages is the one who eventually reaps the rewards. Consistency also builds trust with yourself and with others. When you keep promises to yourself by taking action regularly, you strengthen your self-belief. You begin to trust that you will do what you say you will do, which makes it easier to set and achieve bigger goals. Others notice this as well. People respect and support those who are reliable, and opportunities often go to those who can be counted on to deliver consistently. In contrast, occasional effort creates uncertainty, both in your own mind and in the minds of others, making it harder to build momentum and credibility. Ultimately, it is not the grand gestures or the rare moments of intense effort that change your life. It is the quiet, repeated actions, the ones that may seem small and insignificant in the moment, but that, over time, shape the direction of your entire life. Every time you choose to act when it would be easier not to, every time you keep going when the results are not immediate, you are building a future that will reflect the choices you make day after day. It is through these consistent choices that transformation happens, not in sudden leaps, but in steady steps that, when added together, take you further than you ever imagined possible so. Remember, your future is not built in bursts of effort, but in the steady, deliberate steps you take day after day. Stay committed, keep showing up, and let your consistency shape the life you deserve.